Hello everyone, welcome to UGC NetGate Studios. In this lecture, we will see a question which was asked in June 2020 of the UGC NET exam. From today onwards, we are starting questions on TOC. Now, let us see the question. Today, we are going to solve two questions. Now, let us see the question. Which of the following statements is true? So, they are asking basically from the four statements. There are given four statements. So, we have to state out which one is true. So the first one says the union of two context-free languages is context-free. The intersection of two context-free languages is context-free. The complement of a context-free language is context-free. And if a language is context-free, it can always be accepted by a deterministic PDA. Here PDA stands for push down automata. PDA stands for push down automata. Okay, so basically this question is on context-free languages. So we are, according to Chomsky hierarchy of different categories of languages, there basically we have regular languages. In general, we have regular languages. Then apart from that, we have context-free languages. Then we have the context-sensitive languages, and then at last we have recursive enumerable or recursive languages. This is the hierarchy, that is the Chomsky hierarchy. Now, here we have the everything is on context-free languages. So, in solving such type of questions, we generally require the table. There is one table. I will mention the table in the WhatsApp group and Telegram group. So, this in the table we have all the categories of languages. So, in case of CSL, context sensitive language, recursive and recursive enumerable or context-free language, we have deterministic CFL and non-deterministic CFL. So, everything in the table we have the closure property of languages. So, we have to remember the table. So, if we remember the table, then this kind of question is basically, this question is of 2 marks. So, if you remember the table, it's easy to remember. So, this type of question can be easily solved through the table only. So, now here we have context-free languages. So, we have to remember the closure properties of languages. Closure properties. So, basically there are different properties, and that is we have union, we have intersection, we have complement, we have reversal. So, different properties we have. So, we have to remember whether the languages are closed under these properties or not. So, first one is union. So, context-free languages is closed under union. It is closed under union. That is, if we take two context-free languages and we make the union and we take out the union operation between them, then context-free languages are closed. Then the resulting language will also be context-free. So, context-free languages are closed under union. So, this is true. Okay. The second one is the intersection of two context-free languages is context-free. This is not true. Context-free languages are not closed under intersection. If you take a context-free language and we perform the intersection operation with another context-free languages, so it turns out to be context sensitive. It is not context-free. So, this statement is totally false. The complement of a context-free language is context-free. This is also not true, because context-free languages are not closed. Context-free languages are not closed under complement operation. So, this statement is also false. Now, coming to the last statement, if a language is context free, it can always be accepted by a deterministic push down automata. So, this what plays the main role, deterministic push down automata. So, the push down automata PDA, it is of two types. It is of deterministic PDA and non-deterministic PDA. And the machine for context-free languages is push down automata PDA, or PDA accepts the context-free languages. For this, we generally know for recursive languages we have the machine as finite automata. For context-free languages, the machine is push down automata. For context-sensitive languages, the machine form is linear bounded automata, and for recursive or recursive enumerable, the machine is Turing machine. This is the most powerful machine, Turing machine. Another thing in this diagram I am explaining. So, if for a regular language we can have finite automata. So, you see this inner diagram. So, if a language falls in this category, then if it is accepted by the finite automata, so it will also be accepted by the bigger one outside, that it is also accepted by push down automata, as well as it is accepted by linear bounded automata, as well as it is accepted by Turing machine. Okay, because it is inside, so it lies in the center, so any diagram which is above this will also accept this language. Okay, so in case of CFL, it is accepted by the Push-Gen automata. So above CFL we have the CSL. So for the method CSL, the machine is linear bounded automata. So in case of CFL, the machine is PDA. But if a language falls here, then it will be accepted by PDA. Sure shot, it is accepted by PDA, but also it is accepted by the machines above it. That is also accepted by the LBA and also accepted by Turing machine. Similarly, in case if a language falls here, it is definitely accepted by the linear bounded automata. Then it is also accepted by the machines above it. That is also accepted by Turing machines. So basically we have to remember this thing, because in exam many times question may come, a language is given, suppose a regular language is given and they are asking it is accepted by option will be their finite automata, and in some option it will be their finite automata, PDA, LBA. So in that case you have to choose this option. It is the most appropriate one if it is given in one of these options. Now coming to this, Push-Gen automata are of two types: deterministic Push-Gen automata and non-deterministic Push-Gen automata. So this language is saying if a language is context free, it is context free. We don't know whether it is deterministic CFL or non-deterministic CFL, but it is saying it is context free, then it can always be accepted by deterministic PDA. So here there is a contradiction. Suppose a language is non-deterministic CFL, it is context free but it is non-deterministic, then it cannot be accepted by the deterministic PDA. It has to be accepted only by non-deterministic PDA. So this statement is also wrong, because in case if this context free language is, since it is not mentioned whether it is deterministic or non-deterministic, so if it is non-deterministic CFL, then it cannot be accepted by deterministic PDA. So in this case we should have non-deterministic PDA, but it is not given here, so this option is also correct, wrong. This option is also wrong, so the correct option is option 1. Okay, now let us come to the next question. It has given, consider the following regular expression. One regular expression is given as R, one is given as S, and one is given as T. T. Okay, T equal to this one. Okay. So it is asking which one is the superset of which one, or which one is the subset. Now let us see how to solve. So if you will be going through the option with lots of practice, we can easily solve this type of question. But suppose this type of question, if we also don't have any practice, so we can do it easily by finding out the smallest string. So how? So let us see. So in case of R, let me wipe it out. So in case of R, we have R equal to A, B or A star B. So what is the smallest string that will be possible in case of R? So since we have star here, this part totally can be null or epsilon. So the smallest string that will be possible, A will come here, this is null, and B will come here, B. Now in case of S, we have A or B star. What is the smallest string that will be possible here? In case of S, the smallest string that will be possible is epsilon, star epsilon. Okay. Now we have T. T is A star B. So what is the smallest string that will be possible here? This part turns out to be null, and from here A, B we have. Now from this only finding out the smallest string, we can find out that this S part, or the regular expression means representing S, this is the smallest one. After that we have AB, and AB we have also have here AB, so smallest one. So from the option, so now this is the smallest one, means it is the subset of this one as well as it is the subset of this one. So this part S will be present at the last. So let us see from here. Now next we will find out the next smallest string. So from the next smallest string, here we will have A. From here one A will come out, and B. Here also the next smallest string for this one can be A. From here I bring out one A and B. Now coming to the next part, see here we can have A or B, but here in between we cannot have B. Here see, here it is starting with A and ending with A. In between we can have any combinations of A and B, but here it is also starting with this one. This part also is starting with A and ending with B, but here we can have only combinations of A. Okay, so this is any combination of A or B including epsilon. So we can have A, B, B, A, anything. And this one we can have A as starting, B as ending, and in between any combination of A and B. And similarly here we can have A at starting and B at ending, and we can have any combination of B and A in between. Okay, so we found out all the strings that may be possible here. So this is the regular expression which is the smallest one. Okay, so if we check the option, we have L of R. So this regular expression L of R, so it is the expression which is containing both S as well as T. Okay, so you can see here R is the biggest one, means S will be contained within R. If we consider the regular expression R, you can see it contains within it both S and T. S can be also be present here as well as T can be also be present here. So it is the biggest one, R. So we can see R, where is R? Here it is saying R is a subset. No, it cannot be a subset. It is the biggest one, that is, it is the superset. So we can see here two options are there as being R as a superset. Here B and C, we have two options, superset. Here it is subset also. Here this option will be discarded out and this option will be discarded out. Now we are left with two options, B and C, which is stating that R is the superset. Now we come to S and T. From S and T, which is the larger one? S is the larger one, because it contains any combination of A and B. It can have any combination. It can have 5S. I am talking about S. S can have 5S and then it can have 5Bs. Okay, this thing is also possible here. Okay, but S can have BA. S can have this string, but this one cannot have this string. So this means the contents of string is more as compared to T. Here A or B star. Here A or B star means any combination of A and B, but here there is a limitation. It is bounded that only starting with A and ending with B, and in middle we can have any number of A's. So this is not the case. This is the smallest one. Then this. So next comes, so as S is the bigger one, so S is the superset of T. So this option is the right one. Option B is the right one. So I hope you understood this explanation of these questions. This question was asked in June 2020. And also in previous year several questions of this type have also been asked. So do practice such type of question. Hope you like this video. Do like, share and subscribe our channel, and share this channel with your friends also, so that they can also get benefit from this channel. And do join the WhatsApp and Telegram group. The link is given in the description. Thank you.